All right, so now we are going to get into our continuation of the item builder. So what we are going to do is we are going to do some pizza toppings, and then we'll do some pizzas, and we'll make a menu for our pizzas. The first thing we're going to do is create the pizza toppings. Now, you don't have to do it this way. You can do the items first and then do the modifiers. It's up to you what you want to do. But in this case, I'm going to do the modifiers first.
Lindsay?
Yes.
I don't see anything other than the white point of sale SF Bernice Daniel Training Day 2 screen. Should I be seeing something yet?
Right now.
There we go.
Yep, so I'm just about to get into it. All right, so let's go into the modifiers. All right, so now to create a new modifier group, you are going to click the yellow building blocks with the M to add a modifier group. And you're going to give it a name. In this case, I'm going to name it Lindsay Pizza Toppings and click OK. Now, as soon as you make that new modifier group, it's going to ask you to add a modifier. So let's start adding some. Do some pepperoni. If there's a price for the modifier, you can put it. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. I will click create. Now, in my case, the item name already exists. So it's asking me if I want to use the pepperoni that already exists or to add a new one. I want to create a whole new pepperoni, so I am going to click no. And it will just continue to keep popping up with this, asking me to put in new modifiers. And then when I'm finished, I can either hit the X or cancel to let it know that I'm done adding modifiers. But I'll do a few more. Let's do salami. Most of these I already have that exist because they're on sandwiches or the pizza that already exists. Let's do mushroom. And then let's do steak, and it can be a premium topping. Maybe it costs $1. Right, I'm finished, so I'm going to press X. Now I'll go over to my Lindsay Pizza Toppings and press the button to expand. And now I can see all of my modifiers in there. For the modifiers, everyone will need to have a family assigned. And there are two ways you could do that. You could do them individually. So for example, I select the pepperoni. From the family dropdown, I will choose my family. I'm going to do food mods and save. So I could either do that for the remaining three, or I can change all of them at once using the node updater. I will just select my Lindsay Pizza Toppings modifier group. I'll go up top to the command bar with that U. On the top to the right of the node duplicator, that's the node updater. So I click that. For step 2, I need to check off what it is that I'm changing. In this case, I am just doing the family. So I will check update family. Now for step 3, I will select what I'm going to change it to. I go to the families tab, food mods, and click OK. So now if I go to salami, I can see its family is assigned. Same thing with the mushroom, and then with the steak. So everything has its family assigned. You can do it with multiple different things. So the node updater is very useful if you have a lot of things and you want to make the same changes for all of them. Do you have any questions so far?
Actually, that was such a time saver, and I'm glad you showed it to me because normally I do each individual mod.
Got it. Yes, and you don't actually have to select the modifier group either. You can select those individual modifiers. So say you had some things in Lindsay Pizza Toppings and some things in dressings, and you wanted to change the family, you could just select, just control click and choose the different ones that you want to change.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yes. So if you like that, then you're going to love this. So right now, these toppings would be for the entire pizza, but my restaurant offers toppings on the left and toppings on the right if you don't want it on the whole pizza. And this is where we can use the node duplicator. So what we would do in this case, we would have to select the modifier group. We go out to the node duplicator, and we click to duplicate selected items. I want to change the name. I am just going to put L in front of everything because I want this to be a group of left side toppings. So I'm going to leave replace blank in this case because I'm just going to put the L in the beginning. So for every width, I'm going to put L hyphen. And it shows you at the bottom for the new name, this modifier group will be called L Lindsay Pizza Toppings. Same thing for the button text. There we go. automatically it's checked on to copy the tax and copy the printers. You can also have it copy the prices if you'd like, or you can uncheck the other ones. So if I click OK, it just needs to take a moment. And now it has made my left pizza toppings. And now I want to have right pizza toppings. So what I can do is select my left pizza toppings modifier group, go back to the node duplicator. And now I will tell it to replace every L hyphen with an R hyphen. Click OK. And now I have my right Lindsay pizza toppings as well. Any questions on the node duplicator?
Nope, got that one.
All right. Now I do want to change my steak prices. Just because if it's half, I would want it to be half. Oh, but you know what? I didn't tell it to copy over the prices, so we're fine. All right, so now I have my whole pizza toppings. I have my left and my right, but I can actually put these all into one modifier group, so they'll all appear together. So what I can do is select everything in my left pizza toppings. I can either go to the top and copy, or I can right click and copy node. Right click the Lindsay pizza toppings modifier group, paste node, and now all my left toppings are there. I can do the same thing with the right. I shift click to select them all, right click and copy, right click the modifier group, and paste. So now that I've copied these modifiers over, I can get rid of the left and right modifier groups because they're redundant. I can right click and delete. It will confirm with me that I'm deleting. Say yes. Do the same thing for the right. Okay, so now I have my Lindsay pizza toppings modifier group. So let's see what it looks like right now. Let's do the 1024 at the top. All right, so this is what all of my pizza toppings look like right now. But maybe I don't want them all to be on one page. I want a page for the whole toppings, a page for the left toppings, and a page for the right. So if I close this, there's a quick way to do that. I can put page breaks on these modifiers. So you're going to put the page break on the last item of that page. So if I want my first page to be from pepperoni to steak, I select the steak, go back to the modifier tab, and I check the page break box. So this means that a new page is going to start after steak. I'll do that for left steak as well and do a page break. So now I am going to have 3 pages. Let's select here, go to 1024. And now I have my 3 separate pages, my whole, my left, and my right. But I don't like how the pages are named. I want them to say whole, left, and right. If I go to the Lindsay pizza toppings modifier group, it lists all the page names here. If it says page 1, 2, and 3, then it's just going to say the name of the modifier group followed by 2 or followed by 3. So I can replace these with whatever I want them to say. So I can do whole toppings, let's do left toppings, and right toppings. So now if I do a 1024, you can see here, now it looks a lot prettier. Now, maybe I don't like how the buttons look. I want them to look a little different. I can change that too. And this is another example where doing the node updater is very useful. To the node updater, I want to change my button color and my button font. Go to the tab. To change the color, I just click the color. I'll do this blue. I click to change the font. And you can get creative with it. I'll do white. Let's change the font to Arial, regular, size 14. Click OK. Right, and now it's making all of those changes for me. And in just a moment, right now, if I do the 1024, I can see that my buttons have changed. Now I made the font size a little too large, and so it doesn't look very nice. But I can also change the rows and columns. So let's say I want to do, rather than 6 by 6, 3 by 3. Go back to the 1024, and now it looks a lot nicer. So you have a lot of different things that you can change there on the modifier group. Do you have any questions on anything so far?
Nope. Here's another shortcut I just learned.
Yes, yeah, that's why this is my favorite day. There are a lot of fun things to do with the item builder.
Oh, I can't tell you when we, took a menu for a customer to look at and show it to them, and they go, I don't like the color of this button group or that button group, and I didn't like the font, and I had to sit there and do everything one piece at a time. Now I know better.
Yeah. Now you have this trick.
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and close that. All right, so we are done right now with our modifiers. So now let's make our pizzas. We will go to items. Same thing as creating a new modifier group. You're going to click the red building blocks for the item. Let's call them Lindsay Pizzas, and okay. All right, so let's do a small for $5. And then we'll do a medium for $8. And then a large for 10. Okay, and I just want my 3 sizes, so I'm finished. And now you can see here I have my small, my medium, and my large. Now items need a few more things to be usable. Besides the family, they also need to have a print group, and then you'll want to have a tax assigned to them as well. And this is another thing that you can do with a note updater, because you can do multiple things at once. To the note updater, we are going to do the family, the tax, and the printer. Let's do the family. Oh, pizza. It guessed it was pizza. That's good. Right. Let's do our food tax. And do I have a pizza printer? I do. All right. Press OK. Now it's just going to make all those changes for me. And let's just, ooh, it did a nice hot pink color for the pizzas. All right. So if we go to the tax, you can see the tax table has been assigned. And if you go to the print group, you can see that the print group has been assigned. It's very nice. Now, for the pricing, of course, you can do different pricing. Maybe you have different price schedules. Maybe on Friday, you have a special price for your small pizza. Same thing, you could have multiple print groups. You can do multiple tax tables. We do have the recipe tab as well, which is useful for if you have a bar for different mixed drinks and cocktails, or maybe a dessert, maybe a hot fudge sundae. And then the person that's using Softtouch will be able to just click recipe on the item to view the recipe, or they can print it out. We also have the adjustments tab if you want any adjustments to be applicable for these items. We have rentals, which would be more for pool tables or dartboards. Menu details you don't need to worry about because we take care of that for the online ordering when we set that up. And then we'll come back to the stock later on because we'll have something where we go over the stock. Great. So let's go back to items. So of course you can't access the modifier tab if you're on an item. Instead you have the item tab. So you have the hide button, which is useful because you can still have the item exist in the back office, but maybe you don't want it to be usable right now. So maybe it's something seasonal and you just want this button to be hidden right now. When you're ready to unhide it, all you have to do is uncheck it, and then you're good to go. We have the active mode.
Lindsay, can you stop for just a second? I need to give Anthony this phone call.
Oh, sure.
Just a second. Anthony? Anthony? Sanford's calling. I'm sorry, Lindsay. I forgot to make sure he had the phone in his hand. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. All right. Next up, we have the active box. If you uncheck the active box, then the button is still going to appear, but it just won't be clickable.
Correct.
You have the item name and print name, which you can change if you need to, but of course, when you create the item, it's going to automatically fill that in. You can put the receipt name. If you don't put a receipt name, it just puts in the item name. You can put the priority, so where you want it to appear in the check. So for example, if you want drinks to always be on the top of the check, you can put their priority as 1. The barcode or PLU is automatically filled in as well, but if you are using barcodes, you can put in any number you want, or you can just leave it blank. We have an able scale, which is good for if you have maybe a deli. You can have it by pounds or by ounces. So for these check boxes, we have the roll modifier, like dollar amount, which will add the price of a modifier to the item when it's printed. We have the upsell display, which will display, if you have the upsell feature on, it will display items that could go along with it. So maybe you have something that pops up that says, oh, garlic rolls or cinnamon bread when they select this item. We have do not print on check or receipt of $0. So if this comes out to not cost anything, you can have it not print at all if it's a non-priced item. We have 86, which is going to 86 it, non-taxable if it's not going to be taxed. And then allow refills, which would be probably for drinks. For the non-price modifiers, you put the number of modifiers that are free before you start charging for modifiers.
How come the allows?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
Okay, so on the allowed refills,
yes.
Allowed refills, it's checked, but it's in light gray, so you can't uncheck it, correct?
This just means that it is automatically checked on. So you can just always change
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, and allow refills would be for if you were doing, for example, a kiosk and someone wants a drink refill.
Right, or
yeah,
all you can eat.
If anything has a gray check that's on, you can always check it or uncheck it.
Okay.
Right, so for these non-price modifiers, let's say all of my pizza toppings were 25 cents. But on the small pizza, you can have 2 modifiers before they start to cost money. So if I have 3 toppings, it will just cost me 25 cents for the toppings since 2 are free. So that's what you would put in here. And then page breaks.
What would I put? A number 2? Would it be like a number 2 to allow 2 free?
Yes, exactly. If you wanted to have 2 modifiers that were free, you would put in the number 2, and then it would start charging after that third one. Well, with the third one.
Okay.
The page break is the same as with the modifiers. So if we wanted a page break after the small pizza, we would click page break. And then you don't really need to worry about the no display unless you have a kiosk and you want something that only displays on the kiosk or not on soft touch, or something that displays on soft touch but not online. It's not really something you need to worry about. All right, so I have my pizzas, and right now my customers can only get plain pizzas, so I want to add my modifiers on. And how I will do that is I can either individually click the item, or I can shift click and have all the items selected. And I click the yellow building blocks, because when I'm not in the modifier section, rather than create a modifier group, it becomes add a modifier group. So I click here, lists all my modifier groups. I'm going to select Lindsay Pizza Toppings. I can choose to have a forced quantity or a quantity, and also to make it a manual modifier. The forced quantity, for example, if it's 1, means that the customer must choose, or the customer employee must choose 1 modifier, or they are not able to move on anywhere else. And the quantity limits the number of modifiers you can have. So you can have a forced quantity of 1, but a quantity of 3. So you need to have 1 modifier, but you can't have any more than 3. Just going to press select. And now my modifier groups have been added on to each of my pizzas. Now for my small, let's say that they must have at least 1 modifier, but they can't have more than 2. And for my medium, they need at least 1, but they can't have more than 3. And maybe for the large, they need 2, but they can't have more than 4. So they all have the same modifier group, but I have just changed the quantities that apply to each item.
So Lindsay, what if, say in your little pizza store here, first, how would you set it up to where first it would pop up the modifiers for the crust, and then the modifiers for the sauce, and then the modifiers for the regular toppings?
Got it. So rather than pages, you would want them to be separate modifier groups?
Yes.
Okay, yes, let's do that. So let's go to modifiers. Let's do a Lindsay Pizza crust. Right, so let's do a garlic crust.
Gluten-free
I couldn't think of any crust. Okay, so gluten-free.
and thick or pan, whatever, you know. I don't know.
Right, so we have this one. Let's give them some families really quickly. I want this to be food moss. And let's do a sauce as well. All right. Let's do a red sauce, an Alfredo sauce.
And no sauce.
All right. And then this needs to have a family as well. All right. So what we will do now is we will go to the item, select my pizzas, and we can add multiple modifier groups at once. So let's go ahead and put the crust and the sauce, and everyone must choose one, and they cannot have any more than one. Select. So now they have the 3 modifier groups.
Okay.
So I want it to be sauce, crust, and then toppings. So I will move the toppings to the bottom using the bottom of node.
Okay.
All right, so now let's make this into a link group, and then we can look at it on Softtouch. So I have my item group. For a real restaurant, you would have multiple item groups, but we can just do one. So let's go to links. I will click the blue building blocks to add a link group. Let's call it my Lindsay Pizza menu. And it's the same thing as when you added the modifiers to the items. You select the link group. In this case, you'll select the item group. So Lindsay Pizza. I'll select that. And let's add another item group just so it's not all alone. Let's do burrito. All right, so I have my 2 item groups here with their lovely hot pink color. Now that I have my Lindsay Pizza menu link group, I will go to the main menu. Let's add a new menu, and I will name it Lindsay Pizza. I choose the menu definition, which is going to be Lindsay Pizza menu. Select. And save. All right, so I have the menu. Now I have to assign the menu to a station. Go over to the station. I'm going to be station 1, and then go to menu. Because even though you've created the menu and you have the menu detail, you actually have to assign the menu to a station. So let's put it on my counter mode. So I will change my counter menu to be my Lindsay Pizza menu. Okay, so let's do that push pin. Go to Softtouch. All right, so now if I go to the counter, I have my Lindsay pizzas. So if I did everything correctly, this should work. Right, so I go to pizzas. I do small. The first thing it asks me for is the sauce.
It was supposed to do crust first.
Yes, I didn't switch it on the, here, let me go back.
Oh, I see. For some reason, I thought crust was on top. I didn't pay attention. I'm sorry.
I did too. I don't think I was paying attention either. Here, let's do this. All right, and
I thought it was doing one of those things it does to me all the time. Okay, sorry.
All right, try it again. And see, this is the value with the push pin because I did not need to restart Softtouch.
Yes.
I go to the small. It asks me for the crust. Let's do a garlic crust. Ask me for the sauce. I do a red sauce. And now I have my 3 different pages for the toppings. I want so left side pepperoni, right side salami. And you can see here, I have the quantity of 2 for the small pizza. After I chose 2 toppings, it took me back to the pizza section because I can't have any more than 2 toppings.
Right. Okay.
Now, something else that's cool that you can do is, if we go to the link group again, and we go to my Lindsay Pizza menu, I can link to another menu. So I can add a link group here for my liquor menu, for example. And now I have a link to my liquor menu, so I can access that from my regular menu. All right, so then we just went through creating a menu as well. Do you have any questions on creating a menu?
Nope.
Nope. All right, sounds
God,
good.
it's going to be so much easier.
This is what it's all about. Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Yeah, there are a lot of neat tips and tricks. And actually, you don't need to go to the command bar either. You can right click and you have the node updater there as well.
Right, which is what I usually do, the right click, each individual item.
All right, so now is there anything else that you wanted to go over in the menu and rule builder section of the item builder?
What about the rule? What is the rule? I'm trying to remember if I've used it yet.
Oh, yeah, so we will go over rules. I was going to go over them toward the end of today, but do you want to go over them now?
It's up to you, whatever works better for your flow.
Let's do schedules first because
Okay, perfect.
yeah, because it'll work better because we'll know how to do the scheduling. So we will get to it. You had the right thing in mind. All right, so let's go over the system scheduling then. We went over it a little bit for the employees, I know, but now we're going to do that section that we skipped over. So if we go to General and Scheduling, System Schedules is right here. So you can see right now I just have my all-day schedule that lists my restaurant's hours Sunday through Saturday. We are open all the time. Now you can use this to create special schedules. So for example, we want to have a wing Thursday. And maybe I have a special price for my wings on a Thursday. So I will click Add at the top for Schedules. And I will name my schedule Wing Thursday. If Wing Thursday is only for a certain period of time, I can choose a start date and end date. So maybe Wing Thursday is only for the month of December. Then I could choose December 1st through December 31st. On the bottom, you will choose your scheduled days and times. So say you have something, maybe it's Thursday from 10 to 12, and then again from 2 to 4. You can do that. It doesn't just need to be one time. Click Add. Let's do Thursday. Let's do from 2 p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. All right, so I have created my Wing Thursday schedule. And now I want to tie this to a specific item. Let's go to my item builder. Go to my menu and rule builder. And I want to go into my items. Okay, my wings are under appetizers and wings. And just for demonstrative purposes, let's just do it for the 10 buffalo wings. Or you know what? Let's do it for the 50 buffalo wings. All right, so this is the item that I want to have special pricing on Wing Thursdays. So on the item, I will go over to the pricing tab on the bottom. This has a special price already, so I'll just delete that one. All right, so typically it is $32.99. And let's say on Thursdays, it is going to be $22.99, so it's $10 off. To add a new price, I will click Add to $22.99. I choose my schedule, which will be Wing Thursday. For order type, you can choose if it's applicable for certain orders only. If it's for all orders, you can just leave it blank. On the priority, I will put as 1 because you can see that I have the item, the priority for the existing price at 3. So I want to have this one as at 1. So SoftTouch will always know to look for this one first. It first checks for Wing Thursday. If it's not that schedule, then it will go to the next pricing. Go ahead and save it in there. And now I have the pricing for regular hours, my all-day schedule, and then I have the pricing for the Wing Thursday. All right, so let's go ahead and go first and I don't have to reset the menu. Let's just go into dining because I have my regular menu there. Let's go here. All right, so I haven't refreshed everything. So right now I have my regular buffalo wing pricing in effect. So if I go to apps and wings and I do 50 buffalo wings, interesting. Okay, I was incorrect. I already have an effect. Oh, sorry about that. All right, so I have my special pricing on my schedule set from, I think I put 2 to 5. So it is going on as $22.99. Now, if I try to do it at a different time, or if I disable my Wing Thursday by checking it as inactive, do my push pin. It goes back to that regular pricing. So it'll be very smart. It will know which one to look for. Do you have any questions on the schedule?
Nope, got that part.
All right, awesome. All right, now let's go over the stock and inventory then. So that will be under stock and barcodes under general. All right, stock and inventory. Here we are. All right, so this is different than that list that we looked at last time. You can actually choose what's on this list. So if you're only keeping track of the stock for beverages, for example, you can add only beverages. And how you would do that is you just choose from the drop down, you choose the family, so beverages, and then click import items from family, and it will import everything from there. Now you do already have the option in SoftTouch to do stock, which is really nice because if you're busy, you don't have to go into back office and do it. You can just do it in the front of house. But of course, you can do it in the back office as well. So you have the item name. You can search by it as well. So let's search for Coke. I have my can of Coke. I think if I search for Coke, I'll come up with a lot. All right, so I have can Coke, for example. You can see here my current stock count is 0. I am totally out of Coke. You can put a unit cost if you'd like. For example, my buns have a unit cost of 75 cents and I have 22 of them. I have my can of Coke set to warn me if I have 10 or fewer in the stock. So if I have less than 10, it's going to tell me that my stock is low when I'm on SoftTouch. And I have it checked as active because I am keeping track of the stock for this item. I don't need to if I don't want to. I can keep stock for whatever item I want to keep it for. All right, so let's do adding some stock then. So let's say I had some cans of Coke come in. I can click add stock. You can put number of boxes and the total quantity in each box. Or you could just do like this. So let's say I have one box and there are 20. It shows my old stock count and my new stock count. I click OK. And now my stock has been updated. And if an item is listed on the stock list and it's out of stock, then you won't be able to order it on SoftTouch, which I like. Not only does the button tell you it's unavailable, if you click the button, then you won't be able to order it. It will tell you it's unavailable. So there's no way to accidentally order something that's out of stock if you're keeping track of the stock. There's something else you can do as well with the stock. Let's go into the item builder. See if I can find what I'm looking for. Sub sandwiches, turkey breast. So something else you can do is select the item and go to stock. And you can choose specific items from the stock list to add to the stock for that item. So I already have lettuce and cheese on my stock list. And what I've done is I have my turkey breast sub that I know for sure has lettuce and cheese. And it says every time someone orders a turkey breast sub, it is going to use 1 lettuce and 1 cheese. So it will reduce that stock count for lettuce and cheese every time someone orders that sub. Do you have any questions?
Nope, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so now let's jump into a different direction and go over setting up the stations and other hardware. I know we went over the stations a little bit on Tuesday, but now we'll get really in depth with the station. So now you have all of these things set up, you've set up the menu, now you actually need to get the stations going so they can do what they need to do. So you'll go under hardware to stations, and I will go to my station number 1, which is my main one. All right, so the first tab you have is station. You check if it's active, the station number, the location. You can name whatever you'd like. You could, if it's in a specific revenue center, if it's in your Tiki Bar, you can name it Tiki Bar Station. You can manually put in the IP address. If you click the Get IP button, then it is going to automatically fill in the IP address for the workstation that you're currently using. You have the station type, which is probably going to be a SoftTouch station. If you have, let me show you just as an example, a Dinebus Mobile would be Dinebus Mobile Station, kiosk would be kiosk station. You do choose the revenue center where it is. Mine is in my restaurant. The device ID you would use if you had a handheld solution, so I think for the iPod. And then you could add any notes that you need to. My note is that this is my master station because maybe there's something you need to do that you need to do on the master station, you don't remember what it is, you can just keep that note in back office. You have several check boxes on the right. You have, and they're pretty self-explanatory. There's cash out using the enter key. Obviously, you can press enter and it will cash out. You can print a voided check, print voided item. You can disable immediate printing, which is good for delivery orders. So you can have it when someone places a delivery order, you can keep the station from printing it out so that the driver can print the order out when they pick it up. When when the driver goes and selects the order and they're going to take it to the customer. You can do forced seat stats, which is good for demographic information. So when you seat customers at a table, it would ask you for their gender, their age range, and so on. So you can say, oh, people, females between this age range seem to really like cannolis. You have forced seat name, which will ask you for a customer's name when you seat them. You have show value added tax amount on the screen, self-explanatory, display upsells. You can choose to lock or disable the station. You can also choose whether to have the quick quantity buttons enabled or disabled. And then the last one is to enable verification on checks with alcohol. So it will require you to either scan the ID or put the number in or just verify the date of birth that's on their license. Any questions on this tab, the stations tab?
Nope.
All right, so let's go to credit cards, which I know we went over this, but we can just go over it again. You want to make sure you check this box, the enable credit card processing through SoftTouch if they are processing credit cards. You're going to choose the route, and then you'll choose your lane ID or just generate a random lane ID. You just have to make sure it's unique for each station. All right, here's the fun part. Order functions, the tabs within the tab. The enable and disable tab is for determining what order functions, or I always call them service modes, are available on the station. You can see that I do not have my open drawer, caller ID, or drive-through available because I just don't show those. So for example, you have a restaurant that doesn't have a bar, you can uncheck bar and then bar just will not appear on their station. And then on the right, you choose the order that they're going to display in. So mine starts with order history, then delivery and dispatch. So if you go up here, you can see I have order history, delivery, and dispatch. You can put it in any order you want to. And then we have counter. Just one moment. All right, and these are where you will set all the settings for the different service modes and service types that you have in SoftTouch. So for counter, if you check lockdown, it is going to lock that station into counter mode. So the employee will not be able to go anywhere except the counter, which is good if you're afraid that they'll get into trouble. You check whether or not you want them to be able to print a receipt. You can disable the send or suspend button. Ask coaster is for if you're using table coasters to alert customers for their seats. You check if you wanted to prompt them to ask for dine-in or to go. You can choose to have a custom field and choose to ask for the customer's phone number. For ask name, there's a drop down. You can not ask for a name, or you can ask on send, on cash out, or on send or cash out. And then you would choose how you want to do tips. If you don't want to ask for a tip, if you want to ask at cash out before approval or at cash out after approval. And then all of the other different ones are going to have similar settings, so I'll just mention the ones that are different. For dining, you can auto pre-auth on a new check. You can ask for RFID card assignment for the order. And then let's see, all of these are similar except down here, we have the dining section. You can choose which of your seating sections is the dining section. And then your check display style for your seating and your floating. So you can select full, which is more detailed, or list, which is not as detailed. All right, so let's do the bar then. For the bar, you have ask name at bar, and then you have disable quick bar. If you don't want your bartenders to be able to use quick bar, then you can check this off. Same thing with selecting the seating section. So I could do bar or tiki bar. And then check display style, same thing. For seating or floating, you can do the full or the list. For takeout, you have the new takeout order options. You can choose to search for customer, not search for a customer, or to only do fast takeout. because usually when you go to take out, it could be similar to when you have a delivery order, and it will prompt you to search for a customer, but you can change that. Right? For delivery, you can ask for a date and time stamp, and you have the lockdown as well. If you do have the date and time stamp, it's just going to prompt the user to enter in a date and time at the beginning of each transaction, just to confirm when the delivery order was put in. For pickup, pickup is used for different things. It's used for counter orders, takeout orders, and if you're using drive-through, then the drive-through orders will show up on pickup as well. You can change the way you want to sort the pickup order. You can do it ascending or descending based on the date and time. And then the display filter, I have asked Taylor about this because I'm not as familiar with it. He said that it would be used in a dual drive-through scenario. So if you only wanted orders from certain stations to display within the pickup screen of the station. So if you ever needed to use the display filter for a drive-through, Taylor would be able to help you out with it. And then I won't go through everything else just because this one's for the older iPods. We don't have the iTable, and the kiosk doesn't have the newer kiosk information on it. So I'll skip over these other order functions. Do you have questions on any of the order function tabs that I went over?
No.
All right, so let's move on to security then. I think, yeah, we haven't gone over the security, but we did go over the job security. All right, so under general, you have disable clock in. So if you don't want people to be able to clock in on the station, you can check that box. You say if the station's able to cash out. If you want to force tenders, so people won't be able to do the enter key or to do fast cash, they will have to they'll have to put the whole transaction in. Because with fast cash, you could do, for example, your total is $5. They give you $5, and it's done. You put it in the drawer. But if you disable fast cash, then you'll have to put in, they gave me $5, enter it in, drawer pops open, and put it in. And then you can check whether you want the drawer to be opened while in an order or not. For the spotter and cash out display, the spotter display is what it shows after you've cashed out a transaction. So if someone's total was $5 and they gave you 10, it will show on the screen in large numbers $5, showing that you need to give them $5 back in change. I have my spotter display enabled, but it only shows for 2 seconds. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can just uncheck it. If you do have it checked on, you can do 0 so that it has a permanent hold and you need to tell it to go away, or a -1 so that it doesn't hold. And if you have an employee that maybe you're not suspicious of them, but maybe you just want to keep an eye on them, you can disable them to be able to quickly exit from it. And you can also have it so that they have to confirm before closing the sale. And then for the system timeouts, you would just put in the station and activity timeout, end of bar order, end of dining order, end of counter order. So basically on the station, whenever you wanted to time out, if you don't want it to time out, then you will just put a -1. Any questions on the security tab?
No, not yet.
All right, so let's go to the hardware devices. I know we already went over the drawers a little bit, so we can skip that one. All right, so printers. This is where the print groups will come into play. We have the printer drop-downs for the 40 columns and the 80 columns. So for your station, you will have your check print group and your receipt print group. So I would probably do check 1 and then do receipt 1. For any other print jobs, so for example, if there's a refund or if there's a paid in or paid out, maybe you sent an employee to get something and it does a paid out check, you can tell it what to send those other print jobs to. And then for the 80 column, which will be the regular paper, I have mine to just go to the report printer. So whatever they have in the restaurant that they wanted to print out to. You can also choose any printers that you want to ignore. Any questions on the printers?
Why would you want to ignore the printers?
That is a good question. I can't think of an example. I think it's because, That's why. Because when you create a print group, you will tell it, you know, maybe if this printer is backed up or it's not functioning properly, then reroute it to this printer. But maybe in this case, you never want Station 1 to reroute their checks to that specific print group. But maybe you want Station 10 that uses the same printers to reroute to that print group. Does that make sense?
Okay. Okay.
So did I explain that clearly?
Well, I'll fiddle with it a little bit and then I'll understand it better.
Got it. Okay. So it's basically if you want, so for example, you want Station 1 to be friends with this print group if their usual one is backed up, but you don't want Station 2 to be friends with the print group.
Okay.
So let's go.
Oh, yes. Okay. You got it.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay, so let's go to the card readers. Right. Let's see, did we do the card readers already? No, we didn't do the card readers. All right, so if you're using a magnetic swipe reader, then you are going to put the name in there. If not, you can leave it blank. For your EMV device, mine just has the VX805 Sterling and VX805 Mercury, but you would choose the EMV device you're using. You would do the COM port the EMV device is using. And then you would put in your IP address, IP port, MAC address. Once you have the device plugged in, you have all the drivers installed, you have back office all set up, then you would press the Load EMV Device Parameters button, and then the station would be all set with a card reader. Any questions on the card reader setup?
No, I think I kind of understand that, yeah.
Got it. All right, now the fingerprint one is very easy. You can enable biometrics. You can do it for specific things. Maybe biometrics is only for overrides. Maybe it's only for clocking in, just for everything, or if you're not using the biometrics. You have the caller ID, which would be if you're using, for example, who's calling. You would check to enable the caller ID interface and then choose if there's notification or if it pops up and tells you so-and-so is calling from this phone number. The poll display one's easy as well. If you're using a poll display, you would check it on. You would put in the poll display code, the COM port. You could test it as well. If you have a name for it, you put it in here. And then your poll message would be what you want the message to display.
Such as, thank you for your patronage. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Or welcome to our restaurant.
Okay.
Right, we have liquor dispensing, which is neat if you're using the Berg interface, which is something that we interface with for liquor dispensing, obviously. All of this information is on the Learning Center if you need it, but I'll just run through it just in case. So yes, if you are doing liquor dispensing, we only support those Berg basic specifications. So you have your baud rate, which would be 9600. You have your parity. It would usually be none, but you would refer to the manufacturer's manual. Data bits would be 8, and stop bits would be 1. But for all of these things, you always want to make sure you go to the manufacturer's manual. And that's just if you're doing the liquor dispensing. If we go to scanners and other, this would be used for enabling serial or Bluetooth devices to be used on the station. And you'd also assign your keyboard settings if you're using a keyboard. So I have one that's just called test. You would put in for your device settings, you do your name if it's active, the device type, so serial, Bluetooth, or keyboard, the transmit type, and then you'd fill in all your serial settings. The baud rate would be 9600. Terminator signal would be 13, like I have here. So basically, these would be default ones that you would put in. You would do start device and stop device, which are very useful for testing the device. If you are testing a device, you need to exit the soft clients executable in the system tray first. So after you disable that, you would start testing. And then when you're finished testing, you would stop the device, make any changes, and then you'd have to start the soft client again. Now, if you're doing a keyboard, if you're going to be using a serial device, you can just ignore this. But for any other keyboards, you would have your prefix. You would go to the manufacturer's manual for this. Same thing for the suffix. And then we have the allow keystrokes. You probably just want to leave that one unchecked. Don't ask me why, I don't know, but you'll want to leave that one unchecked. Do you have any questions on the scanners and other for the serial and Bluetooth? No?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. All right, scale is another quick one. It would use those same settings as the liquor dispensing. The only thing different is you would also do a scale timeout. So the time and number of seconds that the system will allow an item to stay on the scale before it times out. And then we have the cameras here. You would just say if you're enabling the camera or not, the server IP address and the server port. Very straightforward. If you're using a coin dispenser, you would just put the name here. And then we have the customer display. So maybe if you have a station that has a customer display as well. So the display that you want to use as your customer display would be labeled with a number within the display settings of Windows. You would put that number in this field here for the Windows display location, and it tells you here it's normally 2 to enable and 0 to disable, but you would just want to make sure. If you're going to have images going through the customer display, you would just choose here where it is on Windows. If they don't fill up the entire screen, you can use the stretch images box. And if you check that, obviously it will stretch the images. You choose the interval for the image rotation, and then also a background color if you're not stretching the images, but they don't take up the entire space. And that's how you would do the customer display. All right, so now we've already done the tax table, so let's go over to the price schedule. All right, so this is where you would add a price schedule. You could copy a price schedule from one station and paste it over to this station by doing copy records and paste records. But really just keeping the all-day schedule on the station is fine because there will be schedules assigned to the different items. So for example, on my 50 wings, I have my wing Thursday. So whether or not the station is on that schedule, the item's going to be on that schedule. And then we have sharing. So station sharing is used when you want to grant certain access from one station to another. So when you're using this, the staff using the station that is listed in this field, so station number 2, for example, they will have specified access to this station. So I could do it so they have full access, or I could do it so they have cash out only access. So maybe I want station 2 to have access to my station, but only to cash out. And then we will both be responsible for the total of the drawer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, so now let's go over to the coupons and combos, and that's where we can get into the rules. So we will go back to the item builder, and we will go over to the smart rules. Now I have my combo here that I always have on, but I will also show you how to do a coupon. All right, and we do have a manual on the support site that explains these in depth if you ever get a little stuck on it, because I know at first I wasn't totally sure on what to do. All right, so this is where we will be creating our smart rules. But first, let's choose the items and everything that will go with the rule on the menu and rule builder. So we'll go here. The first thing you will do is create a link group. So I want to have a special coupon that you can get 2 one-topping large pizzas for $20.99. So I'm going to go to links and create a new link group. And I am going to create the name of my role. So let's just do 2 one-topping pizzas. And that's the name of my role. Now there is a hidden drop down to the right of this, as you can see on my other rules. If I click this 3 times, the rule drop down appears, and I'll select a rule. So now SoftTouch knows that this is going to be a rule. I have to choose the item or items that will be a part of this. I want it to just be large pizzas. So you know what? Let me just rename this then. Large. There we go. All right, so I want this to be large pizzas only. So what I can do is I can right click my Lindsay Pizza item group and click go next. That's another little shortcut because it will take me directly to that item group on the item builder. And I just want my large item. So I can right click and copy, go back to my rule, right click, and paste. I don't want to add a new item, I want to keep the same item. All right. So now SoftTouch knows that my large pizza is the only thing that is associated with this rule. Do you follow me so far?
Yes.
All right, now I need to have a rule quantity. So similar to how I had a modifier quantity, I need a rule quantity. So if I select my item, you can see rule quantity here on the bottom. So I'm going to make my rule quantity 2 because it is going to be 2 pizzas. For my modifiers, since this isn't a rule, it has changed that modifier look. So I want my rule quantity to be 1. And it has automatically filled that in for me, except let's make the topping 1 as well. All right, so that should be good to go. Now is where we go to Smart Rules. I am going to click Add. This first tab is going to be the rule properties. You choose if it's a smart coupon or a smart combo. Mine is a coupon. I will name it 2 1 large topping pizzas for $20.99. I can put a description if I'd like. So buy 1 large 1 topping pizza. No, let's do buy 2 large 1 topping pizzas for $20.99. Very straightforward, same as the name. You can choose if it's for a specific schedule. If you leave it blank, then it will know that it's for all the time. And you can choose to disable it for certain service types. So maybe you don't want it to be available if it's takeout. You can check takeout and it will be disabled. I will go to my requirement and redemption. I need to have my requirement rule. In order for this coupon to work, there needs to be this rule in action. I'll select it and select my 2 1 topping large pizzas. Okay. Now I will do my redemption price, which will be $20.99. So SoftTouch knows that this rule needs to be into effect, and then it will charge $20.99. Right, and then in this case, I will leave all of these fields blank. Now when I go to the Smart Coupon properties, the redemption type can be coupon or coupon and tender. If you choose coupon, that means it will be applied to a check using the check adjust button in SoftTouch. If it's a coupon/tender, then the coupon will be applied as the tender in the cash out screen. I will just do coupon. You can do the PLU if you're going to do a barcode. So maybe if this is something physically that someone's printed out, or maybe you emailed it out to them and you need to scan it in, you can do that. The quantity per order, you can say how many of this coupon they can use. If you want it to be unlimited, you can put 0. I just want them to be able to use it once, so mine is 1. The location usage, you can say that if it's in store and for online ordering, if it's only for in store or only for online ordering. You can check if it can be used with other coupons and check if it can be used with other adjustments, but I want this to just be by itself. All right, so I think we are all set. Let's go back to the menu and rule builder and do my push pin. Okay, so let's clear out of this order. All right, now I'm going to go to the counter because that's, pardon me, SoftTouch. I'm going to go to the counter because that's where my large pizza is. Not see if it works. Let's go into pizza. I have a large with 1 topping. Of the pizza. I see. It's giving me a hard time. Let me change this really quickly because I messed something up myself. All right, let me see 1 second. I need to change this to 1. All right. Let's cancel the order. All right, let's try it again. We'll do a large with one topping. We'll do another large with one topping. All right. Now, if I it's giving me a hard time. Let's see. I should be able to.
You know your coupon price was $20.99 and it's cheaper without the coupon.
Oh yes, yeah, I messed it all up. All right, let me see. I'm just trying to sorry, I had a moment, one of those moments where I forgot how to do what I was doing. Yes. Yeah, maybe you know what? Let's go and change that because this is, even though we're just demonstrating, we don't want to rip these people off. So let's do $9.99. So cheaper than the cost of one pizza. All right, let's do that. Okay. All right, now this should work for me. Just quickly put it in. All right, great. So as far as I can tell, I have met the requirements for my smart coupon. I will click check adjust coupons, and it will only list coupons if I have met the requirements. If I had too many toppings on my pizza or not enough toppings, then it would not apply. If I had just one large pizza, it would not show it on here. If I click it here, it's automatically going to apply it. And you can tell that these two items have been applied because it has the parentheses SM for smart. It says 1 large topping. So that's how you would set up the coupon. And you would probably want to set it up so it's not more expensive than the usual price. All right, so let's go ahead and just send this one through. And that can be for Tom. All right, did you have any questions on the coupon? Did you want me to do another one?
No, I think that was fairly easy.
Got it. All right, cool. And you can get really creative with these too. Let me show you then my combo that I have, and I'll go through how I created it as well. So I made what is called my slice combo. And what it is if you have a drink and a pizza, you have your dessert for free. So my rule here is slice combo. And what I have done is I have added my beverage item group and my slices item group because all of my beverages are the same price, they're all included. All of my slices are the same price, so they're included as well. But I made a separate modifier group called slice combo dessert, where I took items from my dessert item group and created a new one because I did not want all of this desserts to be included. So if we go next, you can see it includes cannoli, chocolate cannoli, and so on. So soft touch nose, this is a rule. And it shows the rule quantity is 1. You must have 1 beverage. The slices, 1. And the dessert is 1. So if I don't have 1 of each of these, it won't work. In my smart rules, for my slice combo, I have the property as a smart combo, and then I just have the name. I have the requirement rule as slice combo, and I did the redemption price. I did redemption price rather than doing something different because I know that the total would always come out to be the same since my beverages and slices are the same price. And then for smart combo properties, you can say whether you want the combo to be applied automatically or if you want to manually apply it. I have it so it's automatic. So if I go on here, I go to my regular menu. Okay, so someone gets a slice of cheese and a fountain soda. When they get a dessert, it automatically applies that slice combo. So really comes in handy. Do you have any questions on the combos?
Nope.
All right, awesome.
It was interesting though. That was interesting.
Yes, yeah, I love the combos. All right, so we did get through things pretty quickly last time, and since we started this last time, we are actually ahead again, so that is technically the end of day 2, so we can get started on day 3.
Sounds good.
Yeah, which is great news. All right, so we're just going to go over some specific operations we're going to be jumping around all over the place a little bit. Let me just cancel this order. And then day 3. All right, so we will be bouncing around all over the place. We'll be bouncing around between back office and soft touch. So let's set some things up in back office, and then we can look at them in soft touch. Something that I like is you can add up to 4 custom programs that you can launch from soft touch. So if you go under General and System and go to Custom Programs, I already have my notepad in there. So you just put the name that how you want it to appear in soft touch, and then you put where the program is. So mine is just under Windows and Notepad. So then if I go to soft touch, you would access this from the Employees section. So you go to Employee, My Custom Programs, and then click Notepad, and there you are. You just have to make sure your employees don't put solitaire or something in there. All right. Any questions on custom programs?
No. At the moment, no.
All right, great. And then you don't have to put back office in there because the manager can already launch back office from soft touch. So go into general functions, you can launch back office. So
Right.
save up the spot for something else.
Right.
Right, now let me take you back. All right, so now let's go over check transfer, and then we'll also go over the sales allocation. So you can have 2 different choices for employee acceptance for check transfers. You can check it on, which I'll show you in back office in a second. If you check it on, when employee A transfers an open check to employee B must go in and accept that check. So employee A can't say, oh, I transferred my check to employee B, now I can close out, because technically that check still belongs to employee A until employee B has accepted it. Or you can leave this box, which I'll show you, unchecked, so that when employee A transfers an open check to employee B, it automatically transfers over. And what I'm talking about is under General, System and General. And it is employee acceptance for check transfers right here at the bottom of the sales allocation method. So I have it unchecked. So if I'm employee A and I have a family emergency come up and I have to go, I can transfer my checks to employee B and then just leave. Employee B doesn't have to wait. I don't have to wait for them to accept it. Now if we go back, we have the sales allocation method, which can be split or single. So if we use the example of A and B again, if you split it, it's going to track the sales by employee. So if employee A had some items they already had on their check before B took over, it will show A did this and B did this. If it's single, it is only going to track the sales under the employee who opened the check. So even if employee B does the majority of the work, it will all show up under employee A. Does this all make sense?
Yes.
All right, and the sales allocation method is just a drop down. You have split, which tracks sales by the employee, and single, which checks by the owner only. All right, and then let's see, where am I? We also have it so you can do for tips. You can do single or split the same way. So if you do single, then only the person who opened the check and owns it will receive those tips. If you do split, then it's going to track the sales percentage by the employee. So if A opens the check and she does 2 things that are worth $1 each, and B takes it over and does 1 item that's worth $10, they'll receive more of the tip because even though they had fewer items, they had a more expensive item. All right, so let's see. So I have my tips as single. So let me change it to split. Let me do split. Okay, that's good. Let me just restart this. I don't know if you know this, but if you put 7 zeros in there, it will restart soft touch for you. If you make any changes,
No, I didn't know that.
so just if you want to restart it, you do the 7 zeros, and if you just want to shut it down, you can do 6 zeros.
Keep track. Make sure you count right.
All right, so now I have just clocked in my Suzy server, and now I have my manager. All right, so I'm just going to show an example where I have the split sales allocation and the split tips. So let's say I'm the manager and I do some beverages. Send it through. I have an emergency and I need to go. Let's just go back to 5 and let's just have Susie add some items onto my check for me. Let's have her do the slices of pizza and then dessert also, so she has more on there. All right, so Susie will go ahead and cash out my check for me. And then I'll have her apply a tip, which I'll go over, but right now I'm just going to do it quickly so I can show you. All right, so this is check number 110. All right, so check 110. I am going to show you on the check detail report how it tracked everything. So if we go to reports, go to my check detail report for 110. All right, so you can see here, the fountain sodas were added by the manager. Everything else was added by Susie. It shows you the payment type was a Visa, $20.99 with a tip of $2. The manager received 22% of the tip and Susie received 78% of the tip because 78% of the check were things that Susie put on. Now, if I did it single, then the manager would receive credit for everything since she's the one that opened and owned the check. So it's a matter of preference for the restaurant.
Okay.
And in this case, I didn't transfer the check over to Susie, which is something we can go over. We'll go over again later on. Because there are a couple of different ways you can choose to transfer a check. And then, of course, you have whether the employee is accepting it or whether it's automatically going to them. All right, so let's go back to the tip. All right, so we already did the tip distribution method. Let's go over the net minimum tip sale percentage. So mine is set at 10%. This means the manager is required to override a cash out if the tip is under this percentage. So if someone tries to tip me under 10%, the manager needs to come over and see what's going on, which is really good for tracking a server that maybe wasn't doing great, or maybe you just had some customers that were not good tippers. And then we have the opposite, require a manager override when declaring tips over a certain percent. So if I have a tip over 50%, the manager has to approve it. And then you can just put 0 to disable it so you don't need to have the manager interference. We have the convenience tipping. So you would put in the number here for the convenience tip guest count. And if the number of guests meets or exceeds that amount, then the convenience tip amounts are going to show up in their receipt. And you would have to put that on the receipt template under administration on the template screen. Any questions?
No, that's the one I don't like personally as a customer.
Yeah, I understand. All right, so speaking of tips, let's go under financial and we will go to tip sharing. So we have our tip dispersions and our tip pools. So first we'll do tip dispersion. So this is where you set up the dispersions from one employee's sales or tips to be paid to another employee group. So for example, you could have a bartender who pays out a percentage of liquor sales to a bar back who helps them bringing ice and restocking bottles when the bar is low on liquor. Or you could have a server who is paying a percentage of her tips to a busboy or food runner for helping with her tables. So you would have step 1 and then step 2. You would name your dispersion, whatever you'd like to name it. Your fund source would be, in this example, would be server or bartender, whoever the money is going to be coming from. You would choose the shift from the shift you created all day, AM or PM. If it's for all shifts, you can leave it blank. And then you can choose a particular schedule or you can just leave it blank. For step 2, you would have multiple of these, who is going to be receiving it. So you would have the share name. So I don't know, maybe bar back. You have, for your participation, you have elective or auto participating. Auto participating, you're automatically going to be in it. But for elective, you would need to manually join the tip dispersion on the employee screen. The distribution source would be if it's coming from the sales, coming from a super department, or coming from a department. And then the source type would be net sales, which is after adjustments, or gross sales, which is before adjustments. You have your percentage that they're going to be taking. Fund calculation would be all sales or weighted sales. If it's weighted sales, it calculates the amount that was tipped as well. If it's all sales, it's going to be collected on all of the sales by the percent that was paid out. You have your distribution calculation if it's going to be equal or weighted. You can check if the employee can break out before the shift is terminated. So if they want to end their participation in the pool before their shift's over. And then all of the job descriptions that will pay out are here. So the job group that is going to be participating. So bar help, but only the PM shift, for example. Any questions on the tip dispersion?
No.
All right, so let's go to the tip pool. And pretty similar thing. This is where you would set up your pools, where a group of employees would all be contributing their tips into one pool, and then divide them amongst themselves when the pool is over and it's committed. So all your bartenders contribute to the pool, and then at the end of the night, they divide the tips when the pool is ended and has been committed. You could also have it so that one group of employees is going to be tipped out, and then the balance of the pool will be divided among a second group. So the bartenders all participate in the bar pool, they get their share, and then the bar pool tips out the bar backs 3% of all the liquor sales, for example. Or you could do the opposite way around. And you would just set it up the same way. Any questions?
No.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, tip dispersions would be you're a group and you're giving it to someone else. Tip pools would be you're all part of group and you're splitting them amongst yourself.
Right.
All right, so we are now going to go over these different operations. We have the employee login, and we'll go over the employee section. We have adding to an order, replacing and or adding modifiers. We'll set up message and quick message, go over quantity buttons, coursing, and then holding and firing, of course. So let's go into soft touch. Let me, they're not distracting. All right, so I will go back in as my manager. We'll go into the employee section, which is of course the section that has the two individuals there. At the top, you have your employee status. It would have your employee's name. My manager is just named manager. It shows that I'm clocked in, and it shows the job that I'm working. But I could also be working additional jobs. So if I click additional jobs, it will ask if I'm running food. No. If my busing tables. Yes. So it says today my additional job is busboy. And I can always click additional jobs and say no, and now it's gone. You have your employee assigned zones. So if you have specific seating zones that are yours, they would be here. You have all of these sections here, my time clock, checks, open tips and transfers, closeout, till assignments, tip funds, and custom programs, which is where we went earlier. And then you also have these buttons at the bottom. You have a lot of reports that you can view. You can change if you want small buttons or large buttons, check on the left or check on the right here as well, although you do have those settings in back office. Clicking the employee videos will take you to those integrated soft touch training videos if you guys installed it on the POS system, so the employees will be able to view them whenever they like. Soft touch quick support I don't think is active right now, but I think that would be for contacting Taylor. All right, so let's see. Let's go over my time clock. This will just show you your time clock records for the past 7 days. I don't have anything because I always just do a system reset since I can't Z out at the end of the day. But it would just say I clocked in for the all-day shift on this day, clocked out this time, clocked in, clocked out, if there are any breaks, and so on. You can print the summary of it if you'd like as well. We have my checks, open tips, and transfers. You have my open tips, so any checks that you cashed out, but it's still waiting for a tip. My open checks and sales. All of your checks for the day, so your last 500 checks. And then checks that are awaiting transfer. So this is where you would see Susie's server is transferring this check over to you, and I would have to choose to accept. and that's if I have it checked so that I must accept the check transfer before it is mine. We have my closeout, which I would go to at the end of the day when I'm ready to close out. We'll go over that another time. We have my till assignments, and this is where you would go if you had an assignable till. I have a permanently assigned till, which is till number 1. But if I did have a till to assign to myself, I would click assign till, and it would show up here. It's telling me that there are no tills found to assign because obviously this is the only one that I have. I have my tip funds. So if I do need to opt into those tip funds, I'm not automatically in there. It would appear here. If I go to join fund, it would list all of the funds I can join, but it tells me I don't have any. If I want to leave a fund before my shift is over, I can do that. And if I have a tip pool, I would click tip pool. I don't have any. And then again, we have my custom programs. Do you have any questions on the employee section?
No.
All right, awesome. All right, so let's jump back to back office now and set up a few things. We are going to set up the quick message because we'll do that shortly. And that's in that section here under miscellaneous that has the dollar paid, quick message, and shift. And we're on the first tab, which is quick message. So quick message is for any message that you might have that's common that you want to be able to quickly add to an item or to a check. So for example, we have peanut allergy. I will add another one that is dairy allergy. I just save it here. So now that will appear under my quick message list on SoftTouch as well. Start SoftTouch. Right. And you know, I am just quickly, I forgot to change. I'm going to change my counter menu back to my regular menu. All right, so now we're back in. Great, so let's go to the counter then. All right, now let's say I have someone come in and they order some spaghetti and meatballs and they choose a house salad. But they tell me that they are allergic to dairy, so they cannot have any Parmesan near the spaghetti. So I can use the quick message to add the dairy allergy. I can click spaghetti and meatballs, quick message, dairy allergy, and now dairy allergy appears on the check, and it will be printed out on the check in the kitchen. So let's go ahead and take care of this customer. Just send their order here. All right, so I have another customer that comes up, and she seems to be very indecisive. She tells me that she wants a dinner salad with ranch. My dinner salad with ranch. I'm ready to go, ready to accept her payment, and she says, you know what, I've changed my mind. I don't want ranch. I want oil and vinegar instead of ranch. And I can easily replace this modifier. I click ranch, I click replace, and it takes me back to that dressing screen. So I can choose that oil and vinegar that she wants. So that would be how you would replace a modifier. But then she says, you know what, I'm sorry, I don't want any dressing. Well, that's fine, I can remove it. I select oil and vinegar, and I click remove. So now there's nothing on here. And then she says, okay, you know, I will do the ranch after all, but I want it on the side. So rather than go through that whole process again, I am just going to put in a message to the kitchen. Just select the salad, do a message, and then ranch on the side. And I can send it through. All right, so that's how you would do a quick message, replace a modifier, remove a modifier, and do a message. Do you have any questions?
Nope, that was pretty easy.
All right, awesome. All right, so now let's go on to coursing. And that is going to be under hardware, printers, and coursing. all the way to the end on the coursing tab. So SoftTouch does allow automatic coursing. You can course your items and then have them fired to the kitchen at pre-specified times, meaning you could place an entire order at once and the kitchen will receive only the courses that are to be made at that time. So I know I've been to a restaurant before where I'm ready to order an appetizer, but no one asks me. And then by the time they come up, I also know what I want for my entree, and then they end up coming out at the same time. So this is good for that. If someone already knows what they want for their appetizer and their entree, you can put them in at the same time, and you know the appetizer will come out first, and then they'll have some time, and then the entree will automatically go through. So you don't have to worry about them coming out at the same time or forgetting to put the entree in. So what I have here is I have created my coursing groups called appetizer, pre-entree, entree, and dessert. And I have assigned different families to each coursing group. If you go to dessert, I have my desserts. If you go to entree, I have everything that's under meat entrees, everything that's under seafood, calzos and strombolis, and pizzas. So everything that is in those families is going to be a part of the entree. I have my different priorities. Appetizer is 1, pre-entree is 2, entree is 3, and dessert is 4. The appetizer, 5 minutes after I put it in, will be fired to the kitchen. Pre-entree, 10 minutes after I put it in, fired to the kitchen, and so on. To enable the coursing, you would have to check the Enable Minute Course Firing box. And if you are enabling it for the first time, you will need to click the Restart Coursing Service button. And something else that you can do is that you do have the option to fire or hold something. So maybe a table finished their appetizer quicker than you thought and there's still time left. You can select fire and the appetizer will go to the kitchen now. Or you can do the opposite where they're taking longer for their appetizer. So you want to hold off on their entree. You can select the entree and hold it. And we have this box here for the maximum minutes to hold manually. So if you put a hold on the entree and then you forget to fire it, you can put the amount of time it'll wait before it automatically fires it. So maybe 20 minutes. If this entree has been held for 20 minutes, then it's going to be fired to the kitchen automatically. Keeps you from getting out of trouble if you're a server. So let me show you what it looks like on SoftTouch. Right, so let's do 2 guests, and let's get 2 drinks. All right, so drinks are under beverages. They don't have coursing because they're just beverages. If I do mozzarella sticks, you see it's under food, but it's under appetizer, and it's going to fire in 5 minutes. If I do a medium cheese pizza, it is also under food, but under entree. It's going to go in 15 minutes. And then you know what? They're also ready for the dessert. So pretty much the couple comes in and they know what they want. Let's do a slice of cheesecake and a slice of tiramisu. And I am just going to go ahead and fire my appetizer because my demo doesn't know it's a demo. So what I'll do is I select whatever it is that I want to fire, and then the hold and fire item button will appear. I will click fire, and you can see here it's no longer italicized and doesn't have any time next to it, which means that as soon as I hit send, this is going to be sent to the kitchen. All right, so I'll hit send. All right, so they've been working on their appetizer for a while. They're just finishing up, and they tell me that they want to have their dessert with their entree, and that's fine. I can do that. I select the slice of cheese and change course, and it shows me everything that I have under my coursing. I want it to come out with an entree, so I click entree. And now you can see here my slice of cheesecake is moved up under entree, and it also says 15 minutes. I'll do the same thing with the tiramisu. Put it up with my entree, and there you go. Now those all match up. Now let's say that they seem like they're going to be finished sooner, and they are going to be ready way before 14 minutes. I can go ahead and tell these items to go sooner. Right? So I can select all of them at once and put in course time, and this is going to be in minutes. I want to change it to 5 minutes. Press enter, and now you can see here these are going to automatically fire to the kitchen in 5 minutes. And send it through. Right. Do you have any questions on the coursing?
How come you didn't have the hold fire button when you selected those three? When you selected those, I didn't see the like we did with the appetizer. Oh, there it is. Okay, it just moved. Okay, sorry. I was looking for it in the same spot as before.
Got it. Yeah, because it just has a difference in the buttons if you have one item selected versus several. Because no buttons aren't going to appear if you don't need them, so if they're not applicable. So let's say let's see, for example, yes. So item adjust appears if you only have one item selected, but if you have more selected, it doesn't have item adjust.
What's the plus one? What was the plus one?
Oh, that will just increase the quantity. So now I have 2 slices of tiramisu.
Okay. Okay.
So it's just a quick way to add another one without having to go in and do the item again.
Okay.
Any more questions?
No.
All right, so let's do this next. So these will be the next things we'll go over. I don't know if we will finish all of these today, but let's just go ahead and go through them. We're going to go over splitting an item.
So you know,
yes.
I need to stop in about 15 minutes.
Oh, got it.
Because I have to. Well, actually, no. Actually, I have a full 30 more minutes. I'm good.
Oh, good. All right, awesome. If you do need to stop, just let me know.
No problem.
Okay, awesome. So we'll go over splitting an item, doing separate checks, so splitting checks, splitting a payment, doing discounts and adjustments, and then one of my favorites, we have seating to seating, float to seating, and seating to float, combining a table, combining orders, and then guest count, mainly adding to a guest count. Right, so we are going to go back to back office. And for adjustments, we're going to set up our adjustments. We'll go under financial, adjustments, and then first we go to general. This is where you will specify the maximum number of adjustments that can be used on a check. I have -1, which is unlimited adjustments. So however many adjustments they want to use, they can. You can put it as 1, 2, 3, whatever you'd like. Now, if we go back to the adjustments tab, this is my adjustment list. This is where I define my adjustments. So for example, a 10% discount or a 25% discount. So I'll show you some of the differences. So 10 points, which would be for if you're doing loyalty, it has a point requirement of 10. 10% discount is 10%. 2 for 1 uses the X for 1. So let's click on the percentages and the 2 for 1. So if we do 10%, I have the name is 10%, button name is 10%. On the check, I have it saying 10%. The adjustment type is a discount in this case. I don't put an amount because it's going to be 10% as I've named it. So for the percentage, I just put 10. You choose the adjustment group. Is it for check, seating, and super departments? Is it just for items, or is it a global item adjustment? If it does require loyalty visits or loyalty points, you would put it in here. And then you would choose a schedule if it's only applicable sometimes. If you leave it blank, it's going to be all day. Now, if we go to 2 for 1, the percentage is going to be 100% in this case because the adjustment type is X for 1. The amount right here, blank for 1, is 2 in my case. You can do whatever you'd like. And the reason that it is 100% is that one item will always be free. If it's 2 for 1, obviously you're not paying for one of them. So that's why the percentage is set to 100. You check if it's active. You check the box if you want it to show on the check. So check description for this one will be 2 for 1. That would appear on the check. You can say whether or not you are going to charge tax on the adjustment. You can check for it to be secure, which means when you go to use the adjustment, you'll need a manager's override. You can check whether X for 1 applies to multiple items, not just one type of item. And then you can tell it to disable automatic X for 1. So sort of like how you can have a Spark combo be manual or automatic. Any questions?
Nope, that makes sense.
let's move over to reasons. All right, so by default, if you do an adjustment in SoftTouch, it's not going to ask you for a reason unless you have reasons listed under your reasons tab. So for example, if an employee applies a 25% discount, it will ask them for a reason, and then they could choose employee discount if you have employee discount in here as a reason. So you would just click add, put your reason, and now it's there. So now when you go to apply an adjustment, it's going to ask you why, and you can select that from the reason. The void reasons are similar, but these are the reasons that an item was voided. So didn't like the food, server bringing the wrong item, or maybe you were just doing server training and no one actually ordered anything. All right, so let me close this out. Let's go into, all right, so let's get a few more guesses in here. So we're going to go over item split, separating checks, splitting payments, and discounts. So first, let's do an item split. So let's have two guests come over. Let's do some mozzarella sticks. As you know, I'm all about using the mozzarella sticks for examples. So let's do the mozzarella sticks, rice balls, and let's do 2 drinks. And then this is all just couple ones, so just hanging out, having a good time. I'm going to fire the mozzarella sticks and rice balls. All right, so I fired their appetizers, they eat their appetizers, they're ready to go. They tell me that they want to split the appetizers in half on 2 separate checks. And I say, fine, I can do that. I select the mozzarella stick, and I click item split. It is automatically put in the split quantity as 2 because I've told SoftTouch that I have 2 guests. So however many guests you have, it'll automatically put that number. I will click enter. Now I have a half mozzarella sticks and a half mozzarella sticks. Do that with the rice balls as well. Item split for 2. There we go. Now I want these on 2 separate checks like they said. So I will click split combine, split, select half mozzarella sticks, half rice balls, and a soda. Click the new check. Now I have 2 separate checks. I just need to send it through to confirm. Now I have my 2 in my indicator. If I click it here, I have 2 checks, and they each have half of each of the appetizers. Any questions?
Does that always work with the tax tables?
What do you mean?
Well, sometimes when, for an example, when something's being rung up, it puts it goes to the next penny. But when you split it like that, you might lose that extra penny, and eventually it might catch up.
Got it. Let me see if Taylor knows anything about that, and I can get back to you on it for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely see what I can find out on there. All right.
Thank you.
Let me close this. I will show you another way that you can do separate checks. You can split by seat, which is very convenient. So let's go on the other side of the restaurant. And I'll just do 2 people again because it'll be a lot easier than showing you 15 people. All right, so let's do seat number 1. They'll get their drink, and let's give them a stromboli. All right, this is all for seat number 2. I will click the arrow to the right of seat 1. It tells me now I'm on seat 2, and I will put in their items. Now you can see here I have a soda and a stromboli for seat 1 and a soda and stromboli for seat 2. And they tell me that they are going to be splitting their check. I click split combine, split again, and we have the split seat button. It confirms with me that I want the new check for every seat. Yes, I do. And then it moves seat number 2's items onto the new check. If I had multiple people, it would do it for everyone. I go ahead and I send it through. And now I have 2 separate checks. Any questions on that one?
So what if you had somebody, though, we'll say, Anthony was paying for mine and his, and Scott was only paying for his. How would you combine the 2 seats and split the check?
Got it. Let's do it now. Let's do 3. All right. So are you saying that we do have the items for each individual seat when we start out?
Yes.
could do split, combine, and split. What I can do is first I will do the split seats. But then they tell me I was actually going to pay for this other person. So I can just select their item and move it over to that other check.
Okay. Okay, so there's no way to tell it to put these 2 seats and those 2 seats. You just have to move it around. Okay.
Yeah, you would have to move it over. Right, and I click this. And then automatically I got rid of that blank check. So I have these 2. All right, now let's say we have 2 guests and they get a large pizza with toppings on it, and they are ready to be cashed out. And they tell me that they are going to be paying with 2 separate cards. And I say that's fine. But they want to try to split it evenly. So what I can do is, as I'm on the cash out screen, I can click split payment, enter the number of people who are splitting the payment. I'll do 2 and press enter. So it's going to tell me this is the best way that you can split it evenly. One person is going to pay $8.46 and one person is going to pay $8.47. So it automatically,
Yeah, because of that nasty.
yes. It is automatically going to put in that $8.46, or really I could just make it whatever I want to, but I'll just keep it at $8.46 on a Visa. And then it automatically fills in the rest. Let's say that's an American Express. And now I'm finished and I had my 2 payment types.
Okay.
So that's one way you could do that as well. All right, so now let's do some discounts. So, we had adjustments we went over, so we'll use one of those. Let's have another table. We are busy tonight. So let's have 2 more guests. Let's do 2 separate seats. So let's do that again. Let's do go ahead and fire this through and come back. All right, so I have 2 guests. They have everything they want. The guest in seat number 1 gives me a promotional flyer that she has for 10% off, and she only wants it to be applied to herself and not to the entire table. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's only for
I was going to say, what a snotty person.
Maybe it's only for 1 meal. Who knows? All right, so you would select seat number 1 if you wanted to only be for this seat. And then you have adjust/redeem. And we would choose the discount. In this case, it's for 10%. And you can see the 10% discount is only applied to seat number 1. But then seat number 2, the guest in seat number 2 tells you, I'm actually an employee at the other location, so I would like to use my employee discount. And I'm going to use it for the entire check. So you can do that as well. Because as you recall, in my back office, I have not limited the number of adjustments. So I can make as many adjustments as I'd like. If I just had 1, they'd have to figure out what they're doing. But yes, so I have unlimited. So I would go to check adjust and whatever they have for the employee discount. Here, employee discount. And the $5.28 is applied to the entire check. You can tell because it's at the bottom of the check. If it were just for seat number 2, for example, it would appear under seat number 2, like the 10% discount does for seat number 1. And those are just 2 examples of adjustments that you could do.
Interesting.
All right, so now let's go over the seating to seating, float to seating, and seating to float. When I do demos, I do this more in the bar mode, the bar setting, but it doesn't actually have to be only in the bar. So let's do an example where we have someone who's waiting for a date. She's here early, her table's not ready, her date's not here. So she just goes and she's going to sit at the bar while she waits for her table. So I will just click here. And let's see, she'll just order a soda. And if she's really hungry, she'll just order some mozzarella stick. All right, so let's go ahead and send it through. All right, so she's here, she's waiting, and then she sees her date come in the door. So she is ready to move to her table. I would click the seating to seating button and click her seat. And now I will select the seat that she is moving to. So let's go to 150. So everything is still the same. She didn't pay off what she got at the bar, it's just going to continue on one check. So that's an example of seating to seating. Now let's go to the bar, because this makes more sense what I'm doing in the bar. Right. So let's say that Anne comes in and she is just hanging out by the piano player. So she's what you would call a floating customer. She's not sitting in the seat, so I can't click on a seat to start her order. Instead, I would click New Order. All right, and let's get her a martini, send it through, and put in her name. So I don't see her on here, but if I go to bar orders, I can see all of my floating bar orders here. So I know Anne's right there. If she's ready for her next martini, go ahead and put it through.
Damn, she's a lush.
She's having a very nice time with the piano player.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now let's say Anne has a friend that's going to be arriving soon, so she's decided she's going to sit down and maybe get a glass of water. So we would use float to seating to assign her to a seat. So we would click float to seating. We choose Anne from here and just sit her right down. Everything is still exactly the same. It's just now we can see her on a seat. So she's hanging out here, and then she finds out that her friend actually isn't coming. She couldn't make it. So Anne is going to go right back to the piano player, and she wants to go back to floating. So we will click seating to float, click the seat. Now Anne has gone to the seat, and she is back under bar orders. So that's seating and floating.
Okay. Nope.
All right, awesome. So hopefully Anne had a nice time.
Hopefully she has a designated driver. She knows the number for Lyft.
Yes, exactly. Or an Uber or a taxi or someone.
Yep.
All right, so let's go back to dining now, our busy dining area. Let's combine a table. So let's say we have someone who was going to split a check, have two separate checks, and then one of them says, you know what, it's my friend's birthday, I am going to pay for them. And this is very quick. You would click on the bottom, combine single table, click the table. It takes you to the split and combine screen. Click combine all, send it through. And now table 159 is one check again. You can also combine multiple orders from multiple tables. So maybe you have a soccer team that's here for a dinner. They're all at separate tables, but at the end of the night, the coach is going to be paying for all of them. You would go to the bottom again and click combine orders and select all of the tables you'd like to combine. So let's do 150, 203, and 206. Complete combine. Combine all. And send it through. And then they all went to 150 just because that's the one that I selected first. So that's how you would combine a single table and then combine multiple tables. Any questions on it?
No. No.
Awesome. All right, so now let's see. Let me take a quick peek at what. Yeah, so I think this should be the last thing that we do today, just so we don't start to get into something else.
Okay.
So one thing, and this is really, all right. So we are going to go over adding to a guest count. So let me just create a table that has two guests. And let's get, okay, let's get them 3 beverages and send it through. All right, so this table has 2 guests, but then another guest comes in and joins the table. And I want to increase the guest count to 3 because maybe for my reporting purposes, or maybe I'm required to have a beverage for each guest. For some reason, I just need to have it so it has the proper guest count. So I would click the table. I would go to guest count. Oh, there it is. It has the pre-existing guest count, which is 2. I'll just change it to 3. And now it says at the top that there are 3 guests. If you have a guest leave, you can do the same thing. Change your guest count to 2. And now it says 2. Now, the way that this is set up is that you don't actually have to press enter. So if you have 1 to 9 guests, it's great. But if you have 10 and you're trying to put in 10, it's only going to let you put in 1. So if you click guest count and you want to have more than 10, you go to this button that says on and change it to off. So now you can put in as many guests as you like and press enter. And And that's what you do for guest count. So it might make sense if maybe you have a pool table or something else. But you never know what you might need it for. All right, so we'll stop there, and then tomorrow we will finish up with this day and then get started on the next day. So we are doing very well. We might actually only need one more day after tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah. If anything, it would just be a half day that we beat. Awesome. All right, did you have any questions on anything we went over today?
No.
No? Oh, awesome. All right, well, I will see if I can make this link work again for tomorrow. If not, I'll send you a new link.
Sounds good.
All right, so I'll speak to you tomorrow. You enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.